So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Apple iPhone 8 Plus versus 13 Pro Max. I think it might be that time. Is it that time though? That is the question we're going to answer in this video. Help you decide if it's about that time you give up your iPhone 8 Plus, the beloved 8 Plus, and come over here to the iPhone 13 Pro Max. Now, what separates these two phones is about 4 years. Now, don't come at me. I know the product red came a little bit after in 2018, but it's the same exact phone. They just changed the paint job. Is it time to do the upgrade in design? Well, yes, because if you take a look here, the iPhone 8 Plus is using aluminum. Now, keep in mind the 8 Plus before the iPhone 10 was the best iPhone you could get at the time, and the 10 came with the stainless steel, overshined it, but you're getting a max size phone here, which would be more of the 8 Plus of this year, and you're getting stainless steel around the edges, and you can get this in multiple different colors as you could with the 8 Plus, but just this aluminum body is feeling more iPhone 13. It's feeling a little more, you know, just iPhone 6 Plus days. It just doesn't feel quite as premium as the iPhone 13 Pro Max. Now on the back, the greasy and fingerprinty back of the 8 Plus is no longer a thing. Look, I touched the Apple logo, I touch all of this. You know, you can't really see it on camera too much, but it definitely does have to get wiped down quite a bit. This stays very clean. Just keep your fingers off the Apple logo. And up here, it does get quite a bit smudgy in between the cameras, but it looks pretty nice. But I would say even on the back side of these phones, in my experience, is definitely an upgrade to go over here to the iPhone 13 Pro Max. Camera just is not looking modern no more. It's looking iPhone 7 Plus days. So definitely overall, just the looks, the feel. Look at the front. You know, the iPhone 8 Plus still has a pretty good size screen, but look at the Max's screen. It's not only huge, it's also wide like the 8 Plus. So if you love the 8 Plus's size, but you're tired of them bezels, this basically erases those bezels, gives you this smaller notch at the bottom, basically no chin. You have a huge chin here with the Touch ID button. It's a major update in terms of looks and design, and I could definitely recommend you go ahead and jump over here if you're looking for something that just feels totally different. A couple of things I want you to keep in mind though is that the 8 Plus does weigh only around 202 grams. At the time, I thought that was a pretty heavy phone, you know, even then. Now we have even more density at 240 grams, so all that comes at a cost. That huge display, that bigger battery, those massive cameras, it comes at a weight penalty. So you'll feel this right away if you have the 8 Plus, you ordered a 13 Pro Max, or you plan on it. Plan on a heavier phone. Add a case to it, you're looking at 250 grams or so, depending on the size of the case. But that gives you this feeling of solidity, I think. It gives you this feeling like, yeah, I got what I paid for. This feels more premium, a little bit more weight to it. I like it. I think you're going to like that. Some people will say it's too bulky, I can't handle it. Well, then they got the 13 Pro for you. This just feels more substantial. It feels nicer, and that's a good thing. IP68 dust and water resistance on this guy. You had IP67 on the iPhone 8 Plus, which means that the 8 Plus is slightly less water resistant than the iPhone 13 Pro Max. So this one is a more durable device as well. Not only does it look better, it's also more durable and more water resistant. So ceramic glass on the front and the back. The iPhone 8 Plus definitely could crack a little bit easier if you dropped it, but I think most people did put this almost $1,000 iPhone 8 Plus in a case. And that brings me on, since I'm going to talk about the price for a minute. This one is going to run you more than the 8 Plus. I remember the 8 Plus being in the $800-900 range, maybe over $1,000 depending on the storage you went to, but it was only pushing near $1,000. This one's going to push you around $1,100, $1,200, $1,300. But if you're getting on a payment plan or anything like that, it won't even seem that much different. But yeah, definitely more costly phone here. But if you look at the device, you can kind of see why. All right, so let's talk about the real world differences with these displays. First of all, you'll notice with the iPhone 8 Plus, you have to pull up from the bottom for control center. Up here, it's from the right top. This will take a quick adjustment period. You have 3D touch, so actually popping into stuff is faster on the 8 Plus just because they went with a haptic touch. Now you'll notice you also have dark mode, night shift, and true tone on both of these phones, so they have the same exact features there. I think the 8 Plus might have been the model that introduced true tone and made the screen adjust to the certain lightings. So while this phone is a smaller panel, it does have a 16:9 panel. That always made the iPhone 8 Plus feel like a wider screen here, like a little mini tablet. The text just seems a little bit wider. It's one of the best and most pleasurable reading phones I've ever ever had. Also, it was LCD, which for some people is quite easy on the eye. Some people think OLED is far better, and you know, OLED is arguably better because it has better contrast ratio, it has deeper black, but some people just find LCD very easy on their eyes. Maybe that's because they've adjusted to it for so long, but I gotta say, this was one of the more pleasurable reading phones out there, and I just liked the overall feel of this display. Over here on the iPhone 13 Pro Max, you do have the 19:9 aspect ratio, which is still quite wide. Not quite as wide, I think, as the 16:9, but because the screen is so large, you probably won't even notice much of a difference. However, this one does have OLED, and it does have Pro Motion, which you're just going to notice just feels and looks so darn smooth to the eye. Once you've used this for about a day, you're going to be like, I can't go back. There's just no way. You'll start to see the 60 hertz on the iPhone 8 Plus. And then you have the gestures here, which is a very big difference as well. That's been around since the 10 though. But the iPhone 8 Plus, it's more like an iPad. You don't have nothing like cutting into the content. Over here, if you pinch in like that on YouTube, you'll see that the notch can get in the way of your content just a little bit. The same will hold true in your photos. So thing does hold true here for the photos. So if I zoom in here on the photos, you'll see that the notch does kind of get in the way there on the iPhone, but you have so much more screen area that I'm still not super upset about this for the 13 Pro Max. But overall, I gotta say the smoother display is super noticeable. It's also far brighter and it's far larger. So they did improve this display on pretty much every aspect that kind of matters to you. Unless you really wanted LCD, you're going to be very happy with this jump. It's a major felt thing when you come from the 8 Plus to the iPhone 13 Pro Max. And software, they both do run iOS 15, so the general core experience will be about the same. However, with the iPhone 13 Pro Max, again, if you didn't go to the 10 on your 8 Plus, you never seen the gesture experience, and you just kept using 8 Plus, that'll be a lot different here. In addition to that, they both have the same focus modes, but again, just swiping from the bottom, it kind of just feels old at this point. You know, swiping up from the top feels a bit better. However, most of the same features do exist within both. So the software is not going to be that much different, besides the fact that you're using it on a different way of getting to control center, gesture, stuff like that. If you haven't experienced that, I'm pretty sure many of you have already though. But if you haven't, that'll feel mostly different. Not a major change in software. The iPhone 8 Plus is still being updated, but you will notice a ton of differences in camera. So if I go over here to camera on the iPhone 8 Plus, it just looks quite a bit older. You can go 2x, but here you can go 3x, you can go ultra wide. You can't even swipe up to get to these pro photo modes. On the 8 Plus, you get 16:9. So major update changes here. You get different types of photography you can do, rich contrast, vibrant in the camera. You got cinematic video. You got video over here in 4K 60. Over here only can do up to 4K 60 on the rear, but this 4K 60 on this one is not HDR capable, whereas the 4K 60 here is HDR capable. So I gotta say, it's mostly in the area of camera that you're gonna really notice the difference between both of these. Now, when it comes to that actual camera itself, the photography on this camera for the 8 Plus needs good lighting to get some really good results. In low light, it's not the best here. And even in the best lighting, it's not gonna be your best iPhone photo, but it's not gonna disappoint you too much. I think the average user can still be very happy with the results iPhone 8 Plus produces, but once they see how crispy and sharp the iPhone 13 Pro Max looks, then it's kind of like, okay, I get it. It's brighter, it's more vivid, it just looks better. You can even see it here in the video. Just take a look. It's just much darker, not quite as rich and beautiful as the one on the iPhone 13 Pro Max. I'm not trying to upsell this. It's just the video and photos are just so much better, and you just don't get this type of cinematic video. I mean, if you really want to take your camera game, your video game to the next level, you got to do this update in the camera. Even the front facing camera is not as good on the 8 Plus. It doesn't even have the 12 megapixel 4K camera they've been using for a while. This one has a 7 megapixel. So even your front facing camera gets a major update. We don't even need to do samples. Just look at these sizes of the camera. There's just no way the iPhone 8 Plus can compete there. So is it time to make that upgrade in performance? Now I can do a proper speed test between both of these if you want to see, but the iPhone 8 Plus definitely gets updated big time. In performance, you go to the A11 Bionic, which I think was the first time they started calling the A chip the Bionic. I think they called it the A10 Fusion before. So yeah, you're going up like 4 generations here in chipset, and Apple has really made this phone much more efficient with the battery life with the chip, and also quite a bit quicker in terms of speed. It just feels snappier all around, and I think it's something that you will notice with the iPhone 13 Pro Max. The chipset is much quicker, so you can see it just popping up, apps open there a bit faster, and every day throughout your day you'll just notice just how fast it just blazes through stuff on the day-to-day. So I will say go with this device right here if you do want to have a major update in performance. So is it time to make that update in storage? Yeah, listen bro, 30 gigs here, you already use on my 64. Now that's because I switched over. I would have been out of storage real quick. This one started at 64. The iPhone 13 Pro Max starts at 128, so double the starting storage. Not only that, its max storage on the iPhone 8 Plus was only 256. Now on the 13 Pro Max, I did get the 256 because it's enough for me, but you can go 512 or 1 TB, 1 terabyte of storage, which is ridiculous amounts more of storage than the iPhone 8 Plus. So yeah, if you're looking to do the upgrade, you want more storage, this is the year, it's time. So is it time to do the upgrade in battery life? Now, don't come at me for 100% capacity. I was using the iPhone 10 at the time. Over here, you can see 100% capacity. You know, yeah, and here's why. Not only is the physical cell much smaller on the iPhone 8 Plus, with the newer software updates on the 8 Plus, the battery life is not as good as it once was. I used to rave about the battery on the 8 Plus, so easy to make it through a day. Nowadays, you know, it's got more powerful. We use our phones even more than when we had, I mean, we used them a lot when we had the 8 Plus. Let's not kid ourselves, but we're getting even more dependent on our phones as the years go on, and Apple has kind of adjusted to that. We have over a 4,000 milliamp hour in here, not even a 3 on the iPhone 8 Plus. So you're talking a good 3, I would say 3 hours better battery life I've been seeing on this phone versus the 8 Plus. The iPhone 13 Pro Max at a full charge feels like an iPad almost, like battery life, like an iPad mini like battery life. It's really that good, you know, based on the efficiency, and you know, as long as you're not like running it at full brightness, you should get ridiculously good. Even at full brightness you'll get ridiculously good, but not quite as good as you could if you just lowered the brightness a little bit. But I gotta say, iPhone 13 Pro Max, major upgrade in battery life. Go for it 100%. Okay guys, so and what about the audio?
How it will perform as well, pretty good. The angle is quite wide, so it's not that hard to get this done here without, you know, 12 Pro Max when it comes to the front facing camera. You can see this is kind of how it will perform.
I can tell you that the iPhone 13 Pro Max definitely feels quite a bit louder and a little bit more crisp. However, I don't think it's necessarily one of those areas. This is one of the few areas of these phones that I don't think is something I would just go upgrade for. Yeah, it's a little bit better, but it's not something I would upgrade for. Now, one area of both these devices that is quite a bit different actually is the phone call reception strength. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, you have Intel modems on the 8 Plus. The iPhone 13 Pro Max has far superior Qualcomm modems. This makes the iPhone 13 Pro Max such a more reliable phone with mobile data, with phone call quality reception, stuff like that. Also, this doesn't have 5G, but not only does it not have 5G, it didn't have the most reliable LTE strength either. Here, I'm getting like 5G ultra capacity internet. Yeah, that's on T-Mobile, but still, you can see it right there. The 5G you see, the internet on this phone on the go almost feels as fast as Wi-Fi. It's pretty insane. So I would definitely say this is a major upgrade. Time to upgrade if you're looking for massively improved mobile performance. And lastly, the biometrics. Now, the biometrics here on the 8 Plus, this is going to be a debate of the forever. Which one is better, Face ID, Touch ID? I think we can't really solve this until we have Touch ID and Face ID on the same phone. I know Apple can do this. All I got to do is put the Touch ID scanner on the power button, give us Face ID option by keeping it on the display. We don't need, why can't we choose between both? So is it time to upgrade? Well, let me make one thing clear. You know, only you know truly when it's time. The 8 Plus users who crave, you know, a phone with No more lower battery capacity, but been using up that battery. You want highly upgraded battery life. You'll be very happy. 8 Plus users looking for a monster improvement in camera. See, the thing about other iPhones is that it's not quite as noticeable jumping like from a 12 Pro Max to a 13 Pro Max, but this one you see, it's night and day. Also, 8 Plus users looking for, major design changes. I mean, come on. They just look like they're from a different planet, these two phones. And so finally, 8 Plus users who loved their 8 Plus but are just ready to make a change and they want to feel that change, you're going to definitely feel it here. And if you waited out till the iPhone 14, it's not like your 8 Plus is just going to fall apart into a million pieces. It's still going to run iOS 15. It should be able to get updated to the next iOS 16 as well, so you wouldn't be left behind. But the 13 Pro Max is definitely a worthy upgrade if you want to make it. Thumbs up if you found this video helpful, entertaining, informing. Subscribe if you haven't already. Nick here. I will catch you all in the very next episode, and peace.